I'm calling in the creator to the CEO who crave creating community and cash to create it like a boss. With me, Katrina Julia, as your host, multi-passionate entrepreneur, creator, and CEO who has walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and continues to, with experience in 7+ industries, 7,000 plus creators and startups, to creators to Fortune 500 brands, including Google, NBC, Victoria's Secret, and more. If you are ready to create it like never before in faith, wellness, wealth, marketing, business, travel, and more, this is the show for you. If this is your time to have freedom in all forms as you create it like a boss, let's create it.
Welcome back to Create It for Creators and CEOs. In this episode, I am sharing digital nomad versus US lifestyle and which one wins for your wallet in 2025. So, I know I have a lot of global listeners. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are in over, I think, 30, 40 countries now. So, super grateful. So, you might live in US or you might live in Europe because I know I have many, many listeners from Europe. So, correlate this to Europe as or wherever you are in the world. And then, of course, if you do live in some of the countries I'm highlighting that I've traveled to, then you're going to completely relate. And then I say all this with a caveat because it's different when you travel somewhere for a week, a month, or sign a multi month or prepay a year in advance as well. So in 2025, the debate between living as a digital nomad and staying in the US lifestyle is more relevant than ever. With the rise of remote work, many are wondering which lifestyle is actually cheaper, and it also depends on what type of travel you've done in the past, what type of travel you're available for, where you want to stay, and also awakening to possibilities, which I absolutely started doing and creating back in 2017, in 2021 through 2022, and then ongoing as well since then. As a creator CEO and multi-passionate entrepreneur and digital nomad and or aspiring digital nomad, you wonder, should you embrace the freedom of traveling the world, or is staying in the US a more quote unquote practical, realistic, affordable choice? Like anything else, you may choose to cut costs, radically traveling the world, love lavish luxury, or marvel at a mixture of both, like I do. And oftentimes, in many countries, you can experience luxury like you never imagined on a budget. Having traveled across 12 countries in 2024 with an average monthly cost, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Drum roll, please. Average monthly cost of $800 a month for stays, including private pools in Bali, oftentimes, sometimes staying for 10, 15 days at a time, and very beautiful and affordable accommodations. I've experienced all the things in both literal worlds. Here's my digital nomad cost of living versus USA cost breakdown to help you decide which path is the best fit for your wallet. Being a digital nomad means taking your work on the road. It's the freedom to explore new countries, cultures, and community, all while making a living remotely. For me, in 2024, my digital nomad lifestyle was affordable and fulfilling. Staying in places like Bali, Vietnam, and Thailand, I averaged just $800 a month in living expenses. Beautiful stays, typically on Airbnb and or Agoda, that included Wi-Fi, electricity, and amenities, an amount that would not cover rent in any way, shape, or form currently in major U.S. cities. When I lived in Atlanta, for example, in 2010 through 2020, and then 2021 through 2022, just my rent, ranged from 1100 to 1600 for an efficiency to a two-bedroom, not including electricity, not including Wi-Fi. While this digital nomad lifestyle offers incredible flexibility and adventures, it's not without challenges. It requires me to maintain my mindset, create intentionally, divine discipline, minimize isolation, and seek and or create community. As I record this episode, I am now staying at a beautiful place called Sunrise Villas that you can see on multiple recent Instagram posts where I'm a joint collaborator on my Instagram at Katrina Julia Fit. And there's, you'll see videos featuring them with Sunrise Villas as well, and just the community here and being surrounded by other digital nomads and creators, no matter what they're focusing on, whether it's different traders that we have from the UK, whether it's a coach that focuses on alchemy, whether it's a coach that focuses on leadership, whether it's a healthy masculine and discipline coach, whether it's a social media manager and graphic designer. I'm surrounded by a variety of creatives, and it's beautiful to be in the space with people of different levels of a creative and digital nomad mindset. Navigating time zones, I jokingly say but truthfully say my number one productivity hack in 2024 was being in Asia most of the time, because I was literally a day ahead, and that's been completely the case from January through June through July of this year. Navigating visa requirements, staying productive, all requires intentionality, practicality, and what I coin divine discipline. So let's dive into the numbers to see which is cheaper, living as a nomad or staying in the US. So accommodations in places like Asia or Central America or South America, you may find accommodations for even as low as $500 a month, or sometimes even less, especially when you negotiate or prepay 6 months or 1 year. I stayed in private villas and homes in Bali with private villas and private stayed in private villas and homes in Bali with even private pools for this very cost or close to it. I stayed in Thailand for condos for even less than $500 a month or $800 a month, similar in quality, style, and amenities of that I experienced in the US. Airbnb, also travel hack, offers monthly stay discounts for many stays, and this is of course host dependent, ranging often in 30 to 50% discounts. In contrast, a one-bedroom apartment in a major US city can easily cost $2,500 or more per month. That's one reason why you see platforms like Hello Landing, that's linked in the blog post in my show notes, with fixed rent, with fully furnished apartments, businesses, and flex rent, where you can stay flex on a membership with the caveat on fully furnished of potentially getting a notice to move out within 3 days if they get someone on the platform paying fully, although many buildings on these platforms in US cities all over have multiple units, so it's not that hard to hop over literally if you want to stay in the same city, or it gives you a reason to explore a different city within the US. So food, street food, and our food in general in countries like Thailand or Vietnam may cost as little as $2 per meal. Like one of my favorite foods in Vietnam is fresh spring rolls. And you can check out my top 10 Vietnam guide, both on the blog and on the podcast, in an amazing YouTube video. And dining out is much more affordable than most cities and or restaurants in the US. In the US, dining out may quickly add up, with an average meal being $15 to $30. I was really surprised last year when I went back to the US after having been gone since 2022, or 2022-ish, and coming back, 2023, coming back a year-ish later, so not that long after, and going through Florida, Minnesota, California. And at one point when I ordered pancakes from IHOP and like one other item with the delivery fee and different things, it was like $55. I was like, $55 from some pancakes and some breakfast? Like, it's a definite adjustment coming back from, countries in Asia, or Central America to the US. So transportation, flights between countries may add up. At the same time, budget airlines, buses make it affordable to travel internationally. And if you use tools like Google Flights and play with the dates, many times I find incredible deals, both on one-off and on round trip, or one-way tickets and on round trip tickets. In the US, owning a car and dealing with gas prices, insurance, parking can easily range, I know firsthand, from $400 to $1,000 monthly. And that's not even necessarily including a car note. Grab, Uber in Asia is also much lower in cost, with rides or on cars or bikes for $2 to $5 being the norm, versus in US it's 10 to 25 plus for similar distances. Healthcare and insurance. In my 2025 learning plan, I talked about having travel insurance while living abroad, and it's also linked in this blog that's linked in the show notes. So while US insurance may range 400 to 600 a month, or you may get a credit depending on your income. Travel insurance and healthcare in many digital nomad friendly countries can range from 500 to 200 monthly, and ironically cover a lot more, like mental health care, like stolen laptops or computers, etc. Living in the US. The cost of living in many major cities in the US is higher than global traveling. For example, rent in Atlanta, and you can definitely, that's where I was for 10 years, from 2010 through 2020, and then 2021 through 2022. So I have firsthand experience. Or San Francisco can average around 3,000 a month and rising. And even in smaller cities or towns like Ohio, I have a good friend Misty that lives there. It's increased to 1,200, 1,500 plus. So food, eating out and groceries in the U.S. has increased. Whether it's grocery costs for a single person may range from 300 to 500. Dining out at restaurant adds another expense to your budget. Transportation, the cost of car ownership and or car payments, and even if it's paid off or even if you bought it cash, then the cost of gas, the cost of insurance, the cost of maintenance. Public transportation is cheaper, but depending on where you live in the U.S., may be less accessible. Healthcare. I covered this earlier a bit in the original section above, with the comparison with U.S. healthcare versus having Nomad insurance. Pros and cons. Affordable living in many countries like Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia offer low cost of living while still providing a high quality of life. Mexico, been in Mexico quite a bit, Guatemala. Of course, depending on where you visit in cities, it can vary, and whether you have hot water or different things, and what countries you visit, and then what parts of those countries. And then on top of that, you get exposure to new cultures. You experience diverse cultures, unique perspectives, a massive increase in gratitude and shifts in perspective. Flexibility and freedom, working from anywhere and everywhere, setting your own schedule, travel as much as little as you like. Visa cons, visa and this depends on how you look at it too, because I look at it as a privilege. Visa and travel logistics. Managing visa and travel can be time consuming, expensive, or it can be super easy, like applying online in Indonesia for an Indonesian visa. Unstable living conditions maybe. And sometimes, so for me in 2025, one of my key aspects was traveling less and being more stable, and increasing massively with fitness, with 6 days a week in a gym, being aligned more to creating community and being immersed in community. So January, I was in Vietnam. Then February, I definitely embodied that in March in Bali. But then I met with my parents, which I adore deeply, and traveled with them for a month in Thailand and a month in Indonesia. And at the same time, they, are on quote unquote retirement travel, and actually wanted to move like every 7-ish days. I kind of pushed them to 10-ish days. And then my mom also had a bout in the hospital post the earthquake in Thailand, and having a balance disorder, which was also scary and vulnerable, and and facing different things, with my parents, with humanity and mortality, and definitely was a shock for me spiritually, and to my nervous system, and to me mentally, and all the things. And and traveling with them absolutely is and was a privilege, and precious and priceless. I did a beautiful Instagram reel on it. You can see see it, literally it's travel with my parents, for a month in Bali, and then I have one for Thailand. At the same time, I was craving stability. I was craving some, I want to be in one place. So afterwards, I was in Lombok for about 3 weeks. Although, because I wasn't sure how long I was going to stay, I ended up switching to 3 places, which I didn't like. And so I was repeating the same pattern. But then I quickly, I was aware of it. I quickly rectified it. And then I've been in the same place, the Sunrise Villas I mentioned, close to Canggu, but about 20, 30 minutes away. in Bali for now about 2.5 weeks. Then I'll be in Canggu for a couple days before I do a visa run to Kuala Lumpur. Then I'll be back here for almost a month, and then I'll go through the U.S. to attend Herbalife Extravaganza, our Super Bowl of the year, and be in the U.S. a couple days. And then likely, unless something massively changes, I'm going to Ecuador. And then I'll be in 1 to 2 places there. So I'm craving a lot more stability. So, language and cultural barriers. Some places can be difficult to navigate if you don't speak the language or understand the local culture, and it's definitely adjustments. So, I did an amazing video on my YouTube channel at Limitless Global Girl Travel to Bali and everything you want to know. And then I also shared an incredible story that was literally a gift from heaven, a miracle, a pay it forward, a surprise travel scare, and 2 strangers that gifted me over $700 when I ended up getting a manual visa for Bali. By quote unquote accident that was issued, and then an electronic one, and then Bali still considered it an expired stay and charged me per day, and then 2 strangers gifted me the money, literally, like it's a miracle. U.S. lifestyle, familiarity, proximity to family and friends, reliable infrastructure. Con, higher cost of living, less cultural exposure, limited travel freedom. Nike says just do it. I say create it. Digital nomad budgeting tips. Whether you decide to embrace the digital nomad lifestyle or stay in the USA, it is important to make and manage money like a boss and with wisdom. That is also linked on the blog post within this section. And then also I have an incredible preview of make and manage money like a boss on my fitlifecreation.com/freebies. That is a preview to the course and a preview to one of the courses in my creator school. So track your expenses. Use apps to keep an eye on your finances no matter where you are in the world. Use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT like crazy in so many different areas. On my blog post and upcoming episode, you're going to hear about 100 ways I use ChatGPT, and it's growing. Choose affordable destinations, or maybe destinations that more align with either your budget and or your financial goals. So for me, yes, I could have chosen to travel to more quote unquote expensive destinations, but at the time I'm focusing on minimizing expenses for a number of reasons, both keeping expenses low and then B, paying off debt. I still have debt, school debt, finance debt from piss poor profit money decisions and scarcity mindset and overspending for years, that culminated in a snowball, so to speak. So, turning the pain to purpose, turning the money mess to a message, while at the same time for years I made other 6 to 8 figures. So there was clearly a worthiness factor, worthiness issues. So if that is you, you are not alone, friend. Negotiate remote work benefits. Build an emergency fund. Digital nomad cost of living wins for your wallet. So which lifestyle is cheaper, digital nomad or US living? So it depends. If you travel in cheaper destinations, if you seek monthly discounts, if you, control spending more like I do, then, it will be cheaper. If you choose luxury destinations and or higher costs of stays and or, eat out 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, well, then of course it's going to be more expensive. It goes back to, again, alignment, flow, control. The choice is personal. If, stability, access to healthcare, and proximity to family is important to you, then staying in US might be the better option. But then I ask you, is it truly the better option, or is it a comfort zone thing? And I'm going to be sharing on my email and on the podcast and on my Instagram soon on what I call the shitty diaper syndrome. It's, you might look cute as a baby and, sitting in the shitty diaper, and it's yours and it's comfortable and it, but it's shitty and it stinks. And it's like, I've been there, and I've experienced transformation in every area of life and continue to. Fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, pain to purpose, money mess to message, bondage to freedom, and the list goes on. So I get it. I've also sat in the shitty diaper, and I'm also focusing on getting out of the shit, in several areas of life and shifting massively in money and in relationships. However, you're looking to stretch your dollar further while experiencing the world, the digital nomad lifestyle will literally be your ticket to adventure, to freedom. And, if you literally play and plan it right, you can get to financial freedom even faster. So, what is speaking to your soul? Share this post, share this episode, tag me in IG stories at Katrina Julia Fit, or DM me. You can comment on a recent post I did exactly aligned to this episode about the digital nomad lifestyle, and get this whole episode, or get this whole blog post in your DMs, and leave a review on the show. Drop your Instagram and or your website link so I can shout you out. And as always, friends, remember, create, transform, and inspire, because you are born to.